It's been a number of months since we have done a YouTube live update, but as we begin to roll into a season where it's very apparent that we're going to have more cases and there's a lot of things going on, we wanted to bring a couple of things to your attention, primarily surrounding face masks, but also just to make you aware that we are receiving an increased number of calls regarding COVID-19. And exposures to positive cases that are occurring in chiropractic physician offices, not as a result of, but whether it be a patient that originally presented asymptomatic is now calling the office indicating that they were positive, a staff member, a physician, or whatever the case might be, but we're receiving an increased number of calls, and so we want everybody to at least be on a higher level of awareness. Making sure that you continue to screen your patients prior to their visit. It's very important. Screen your staff really no less than twice, once at the beginning of the shift and once mid-shift. Some of the calls that we've gotten are from staff members who became symptomatic partway through the day. So those screenings actually do serve a purpose and they are very important. We did strongly encourage you to continue that. Now, there have been some changes very, very recently in regards to face coverings and face masks. And so we wanted to kind of touch base and kind of bring all that back into everybody's kind of awareness and making sure that you are following the guidelines as much as possible. In short, what we're seeing from the CDC and really aligns with what we see from OSHA and from the Illinois Department of Public Health are, surgical masks or procedure masks. Those are really your preferred face covering. Obviously, N95 would be the gold standard in a sense, but surgical masks or procedure masks that have been approved by the FDA. Those are really what is the preferred face covering for chiropractic physicians. In fact, I visited my chiropractic physician today, and he was wearing a procedure mask that was well fitted to his face. And I want to say that's another very, very important factor as well. You want to make sure that they actually are well fitted to your face without gaping holes and things along those lines. It has to do with things like source control and so you can get that information. By the way, all of this is in an article that's on our website at ilchiro.org. Just jump out to the website, ilchiro.org. And you can see that information. So it's pretty good, pretty important. Now, other things come into play. And of course, if you're unable to get those surgical or procedure masks and you're not using N95, which are typically reserved for those who have direct contact with COVID patients or probable COVID patients. And in those particular cases, what you want to do, if you can't get any of that, then cloth masks would be acceptable in those particular areas. But the CDC, really wants you to have one of the others. And if you're using cloth masks, the gaiters and things along those lines that have a single layer of fabric are no longer acceptable. As of yesterday, CDC did a major update on a lot of their mask wearing information for general public use, and walks through a lot of that. We've linked that in our article actually as well, so you can see all of the details in regards to that. But the rock bottom minimum, your cloth mask, if that's what you have to use because the others aren't available, must have at least 2 layers of fabric, if not 3. 3 is preferred, 2 is acceptable, 1 is no longer acceptable. So a single layer of face mask wouldn't be acceptable. And I'd encourage you to go ahead and get, have face masks that are at least multiple layers. If you get the surgical and procedure mask, which you should be able to get right now, if you're able to obtain those and you're using those in your office, it is okay to use those for a length of period of time over your shift. In other words, you can use it for the entire length of the shift, a single surgical mask. And so know that that's also a possibility, and that's laid out in the CDC guidelines as well. And again, that's all linked up considerably in the article, along with guidance for OSHA that kind of talks through what really is going to be required for a medium risk office, which is what your office most likely is, unless you're doing COVID testing. And in those cases, the game changes significantly. But for most of our office, 99.9% of our offices, you're going to be a medium risk office. And in that case, a combination of PPE that would include a face mask, and some other type of PPE. Typically, what we're seeing is the most probable, are going to be things that make sense for chiropractic physicians' offices, depending on how you adjust glove, gown, and possibly goggles. And again, now this is another one. We've talked about this a lot, but make sure that your patients are wearing masks. In these cases where a patient comes in positive, if everyone is masked up, according to the CDC guideline, there is no work exclusion, right? So if you as a physician and the other providers who are providing direct patient care are masked, and your staff is masked at all times, and the patients are coming in, they're masked, and there are no exceptions for any of those rules, then we're not seeing work exclusion. Where we're seeing work exclusion come down from the Illinois Department of Public Health, and when offices are forced to close, is when they've allowed the patients to come in without masks, or the doctor or the staff are not wearing masks. And in those cases, then with that positive case, all it takes is either an unmasked patient and a masked doctor, or a masked patient and unmasked doctor. If both are not masked, then there's going to be a 14-day work exclusion. So it means you're going to shut down for 14 days, and nobody wants that. So to make sure you're adhering to those mask rules and guidelines and requirements, it's also going to protect you in a broader scheme in liability cases or whatever the case might be. Do everything you can to mitigate and protect your patients and protect your staff and protect yourself, doctor. But hopefully this information helps you out, and we will catch you the next time we have an update.